it just occurred to me, why not make this how to pull your engine video. So, got your car pulled in, you're ready to start taking stuff apart. First thing you want to do, crack your bleeder on your coolant, start letting it drain out, because it's going to take a while and you don't want to sit there and be waiting on it at some point. Radiator is draining. It will drain much faster when you crack the cap, as you see here. But we don't want that, because you make a mess. Remove your intake pipes, 8mm or flathead here and here, and you need some pliers. Remove this spring clamp and your couple vacuum rods. Now what I'm going to do, remove the balance tube, two 12mm acorn nuts on here on that side, and on the driver's side you have one 12mm acorn and two 12mm bolts. Sometimes I see them 13mm that someone changes, but I believe they're supposed to be 12. And also, while we're at it, we'll just remove these two fuel lines. It's easy as that. Now, after you got your fuel lines and your balance tube off, you can go through, take your throttle and your cruise control cable off, then you can start to remove the wiring harness. 2 plugs per cylinder. There's knock sensor, not knock sensor, but VTC and O2 up here. Knock sensors right back here. I'll have a ground here and a ground, 2 grounds back at 6. 3 plugs on the side. You got EGR, AIV, and your O2 sensor and VTC, so there's 4 plugs. Over here you've got your TPS, cam angle sensor, and you've got your coolant temp sensors up here. Now, if your harness is off, you will more than likely have brackets here on the side that bolt from the head to the block. You'll just remove all the vacuum hoses from each side and just keep them attached to those solenoids if you have EGR and AIV. Next, we will be removing this IACV pipe, as this one's still connected to this harness, and they're not always the funnest to get off. Remove your brake booster fitting here from the plenum. Now, while you have access to the back and while the transmission is still up, get to your 2 heater core hoses, this 8mm or Phillips, and this one, and remove both of those. While you're up here, there will be a couple connectors for your alternator to transmission harness. One smaller plug, you'll have a larger rectangle plug, and another black and blue plug. It'll be fun to get to sometimes. You see blue and black. Also, there will be some pop clips here that you can pop in and out to secure it to the chassis. Mine was zip tied, because I've been in here before, and it makes it a little easier when stuff comes in and out. Now, since this is dripping slowly, we'll remove both of these hoses from the radiator and see what we can do about getting some of it to drain out. Since I don't want to drain all my radiator and I'm leaving this hose on down here, what I'll do is I'll just remove the 4 nuts for the fan, take the fan and fan clutch off so that I can pull it all up. So I can pull the radiator and hose, bottom hose up as a unit and keep everything else in. So since I don't have it, it'll be a little easier to tell how it works. But right here, there's the main bolt that goes through the power steering. You can disconnect that and disconnect it from the tensioner and leave the power steering pump in the car, or where this hose and the other hose comes here, and there's a drain on the side. You can remove those and bring the pump with you, but it will drain fluid. So now, heater core hoses are off, all vacuum lines are disconnected, all sensors are disconnected from the engine. As far as we have to do in the front is just the engine mount nuts on the bottom side of the subframe. I'm going to get to jacking the rear of the car up so we have access to the drive shaft, transmission, and all the fun stuff that we get to do next. couple remarks. Don't be an idiot like me. Take your fuel tank cap off so you don't bleed all of your fuel. At least I had a board down so it's not all soaked into the tire. But you can see that stud right there. There will be a 14mm nut on that. There will be one on each side. That will be for your motor mount. Next step will be to remove the test pipes from the exhaust system. That's right. We're going to start, remove the cat side of the exhaust. A little bit easier to get to. And then we'll work our way up top where we can squeeze in just a little bit. There will be 3 bolts per side of exhaust that you have to remove. Also have some AIV pipes that are 8mm or Phillips. Got the test pipes off. What I'll do is a lot of times there is a heat shield right here. These 4 bolts have been rusted and broke or studs, so it can't be mounted. After that, what you'll do is you'll have access to the carrier bearing, 2 17mm bolts. I've had some be 19, but you just want to remove both of those. Pull your exhaust down enough so you can pop the drive shaft out of the transmission and lay it to the side. We'll tie it up later just so we don't have to remove it from the rear. So now while we have access to the shifter, what I like to do here, so just the most painless way, so it's easiest to put back, you have to disassemble the least amount of stuff. What you do is you take this pin out, should be a 12mm bolt and nut. You'll remove that so your shifter will not be hooked up to your fork. And then there's 2 12mm bolts here on each side. You remove that and the shifter bracket is released from the trans and it'll be totally free of everything. And after you remove that, you get on to the trans mount bolts. You don't have to have a jack holding it up when you drop it, but it is helpful so that way it doesn't fall a couple inches towards your face and so you don't damage your threads at the same time. You will want a drain pan, as you will be losing trans fluid out the rear if you are pulling trans and engine at the same time. Now that I know I have everything unhooked here and on the downside, what I didn't show is take your slave cylinder off if you are manual. What I like to do is I either take some link or take the coil packs out here and loop it through the runner, or I loop it through the exhaust, which would be the middle one on this side and the front one on this side. And if I need to, I'll hook another chain or ratchet strap to the trans to level it out slightly as I pull it. So this is how I've got it hooked up. Got some tension on it. Now you see transmission yoke is out, just enough to make it start dripping. So now, as you move this, keep this accordingly. So that way you do not make an absolute mess everywhere. Make sure you got all your sensors and stuff that's clear and everything. You don't have anything snagging. I guess I need to check. Yeah, of course. This bell housing bolt back here is what your ground strap is connected to. Just like that, it's out. Really all I gotta do is just keep the rear end from banging on the firewall and tearing the wiring harness up, while at the same time maintaining this, so I do not contribute any more to that river down there that I have created. Voila! All I'll do here is just pick up while it lowers down to level it out like that. So now got this ready back here. What we're going to do is we'll unbolt the starter, get the trans unhooked, the harness, get the clutch and flywheel pulled off. We'll get her set up on the stand. If you like what you see, comment, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.